Hey everybody, it's Zach at Happy Hollow. Today I'm down here at the creek to see what I can find. If you've ever been out here for summer camp, then you've probably been on a creek hike before. You might remember finding the clay and playing with it, or seeing some of the animals down there and feeling the cool water rush over your feet. This resource is important to camp for more than just hikes. You may have noticed before some animal tracks leading down to the creek while you're on a hike. That's because a lot of the animals out here actually depend on the creek for their water source, which all animals need to survive. So often you'll see deer prints, possum prints, goose prints, that sort of stuff down by the creek because those animals depend on it for water. Apart from that, the creek is also its own little ecosystem here at camp that's full of plants and animals that you won't find anywhere else here at camp. So just today while I'm down here, I'm hoping I can find some of those unique plants and animals by searching around a bit. Now, it hasn't rained much this summer, so the creek is pretty well dried up and the water isn't flowing. But there are a few areas where water has puddled up, and that's kind of forced all the animals who live down there to congregate in those areas. So I think we'll have some pretty good luck finding some of those animals while we're down here today. Here's a nice stretch of stream with some standing water in it that we're going to try to catch some critters in. One of the strategies you can use to catch critters in your net is to put it in the water and have it facing upstream so that the critters will get washed down the creek and into your net. What we're going to have to do today, since the water isn't moving, is take our net, dip it in the water, and we're just going to walk upstream with it all the way to the end of this stretch. You could also do this if the creek was running as well, but I have to since it's not running at all. I'm just going to make sure that I'm dipping it down in the water the whole way and see if we can get anything along our journey here through the creek. A bunch of stuff swimming around for sure, so I bet we'll get something. All right, so now I'm going to take my net over to the bucket and see what we've got. So I found another spot of the creek that's got some standing water in it as well. Looks like a good spot to look for some critters. So we're going to do a different method for catching the critters at this spot. For this one, I brought along my stream buddy, Henry. Go ahead and say hi, Henry.
Hi.
He's going to be my net man. I'm going to be the rock flipper. All right, so this is the rock flip method that you can use. So what we're going to do is we're going to find a nice big rock where we are. In this case, it's going to be this one right under my finger. I'm going to be the rock flipper, so I'm going to get down near it. And Henry's going to bring his net over here. And on the count of 3, I'm going to flip the rock up real quick. And we're going to hope that we catch some critters by surprise and they swim into our net. And then we'll put them in our bucket. All right, so you ready, Henry? All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Dip! So this is my haul for my creek exploration today. You can see there's quite a bit of movement going on. So the biggest things that you see in there moving around that look like little lobsters, you might recognize those. Those are crayfish or crawfish or crawdads or whatever name you have for them. But crayfish is what they're called. They're crustaceans that live in ponds and streams here in Indiana. And there are just a ton of these in our creek right now. And as you can see, the 3 or more that we caught are in very different sizes, going from really tiny to small to medium to large. So kind of found them in all different stages of life, possibly. There's also some smaller things swimming around in there. We got some tiny little fish that are swimming around that we caught. There's a bunch of them in the creek right now as well. Because our lake feeds our creeks, they probably got washed in from the lake. And then there's also a tiny little amphibian right here. It's a little lizard. It's got, with 4 legs, looks like it's got some gills. It might be a mud puppy, which is an amphibian that lives in creeks here in Indiana. It's obviously very, very tiny and a juvenile for sure. But those are all the things that I can see in here. There's likely a lot more things that are just too small for me to see. There's a lot of other stuff that we just weren't able to catch because we weren't fast enough, but we saw a lot of other things too. So the fact that I was able to find so many different living things down here at the creek is a really good indicator that the water quality is generally pretty high. It shows us that it's got all the nutrients and the oxygen that it needs to support life down here, and the plants and the animals that live down here are thriving. If that weren't the case, if it were highly polluted water, then we wouldn't see nearly as much life down here. Things wouldn't be as likely to grow and to reproduce in the stream the way that they currently are, even with the water level being so low. So that's generally a good indicator that we have pretty good water quality down here in our creek. So that's all I've got for you today. Thank you for joining me and exploring the creek.